Hello and welcome to this video. The purpose behind this video is to give you an insight into the activities in the bonus dog bundle and to explain a bit about why I've included it really. If I go through the actual activities first, let me share my screen with you. I'm going to have to show you the back end because it's not letting me show the preview for some reason, but in the bundle I've put 5 activities. There's describing your dog using similes. So here, so this is going to be the world's worst video. Here we have a simile is basically a term to describe one thing using something else, using like or to compare one thing to something else using like or as. So, for example, here I've given the example of my dog is as perfect as a warm summer's day. And so the idea with a simile is that it tells the reader a bit more information. With a metaphor, it shows the reader a bit more, it shows the reader something or creates an image in their mind. Whereas the idea of a simile is it's more verbal, it's telling them something. So we often used to say about Snow that when she went up the stairs, she looked like a slug. So it was a comparison to something else. So that's the idea of a simile. And as your child gets older, and I know it's a long way off yet, but when they start to analyze text and things for their GCSEs, they will be expected to know terms like similes, metaphors, etc. So starting to slowly implement them into their work now makes it easier in the long run. So and people often, like I say, we used to say that about Snowy, and in fact, we used to say all sorts of things about Snowy in the nicest possible respect. But the we often say things about our pets and not realize what it is that we're actually saying. So, or the techniques that we're using. So by doing this, the idea is that you're actually kind of like highlighting what it is you're saying in everyday language. So that's our first task. The second thing I've put in there is a word search. It's not on green, it's just on white. This was just an image I created for social media. But hidden in here there are 12 breeds of dogs. So for example, across the top we've got Newfoundland. Can't remember what else I've put in there, but there's 12. And the idea behind word searches is that yes, they're fun to do, but also it gets us used to scanning information. So again, as we kind of go through school, or even at a younger age when we're doing comprehension and you have to find a specific word to describe something or find a piece of information, rather than having to reread it all, our eyes are used to scanning the information. Oh, there's Corgi. Are used to scanning the information to find keywords. And so that's part of the point of word searches. And something else that I often do when I'm working in lessons is we have a blank word search grid. So it's literally just a square that's probably 10 by 10 with individual squares inside, and then a list of words either on a separate piece of paper or pre-printed onto the sheet with the grid. And you choose your words and put, if they're not already under the grid, you put them there. And then you place one letter in each square like I've done here. And they, as long as they go in a straight line, they can go either horizontally, vertically, diagonally, etc., backwards, as you please. It doesn't matter, but they must go in a straight line, and they must continue on from each other. And you make a word search for the other person to solve. So once you've put all your words in, you fill in the blank squares with other random letters. I'm inclined to write myself little messages. I don't know if you can see, this is really sad to admit, but little Snowy, we love you. I don't put the vowels in because that way you're not accidentally going to write something that's inappropriate or something. So if you find a vowel in the word search, it's normally because it's linked to a word. But just a clue if you're struggling to find any of them. But the idea is that you're scanning for information, but also with one like that, it helps with spellings and it also helps with focused handwriting skills. So making word searches are fun, but it's also quite helpful for spellings and things like handwriting as well. Actually, I'll close that one down, then I won't repeat it. This is, I've called it the doggy board game, although I normally call it the dotty board game. Basically, it's one we use a lot, especially with comprehension. One of us would be, I'll be Snowy for the example of this explanation. You can be the Labrador. You roll a dice. Hang on, let me grab a pen. I'll start here. I'll start here. I'll put M for me, and you can be U for you. Okay. You roll the dice and imagine I've just rolled a 6. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'd land on a pug. Or I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could land on a picture of snow. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully there's a way that I could also land on you. You can go any direction that you like. So I could go that way, that way, that way, etc. But what I can't do is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have to keep going in a straight line. But if anyone lands on a picture of snow, I'd either have to read or answer a question or do whatever it is that's relevant to what you're learning at the moment. If anyone lands on a picture of the Labrador, you would have to read or answer the next question or whatever. You can both work it out together, but one person would be actually responsible for the answer. If anyone lands on a pug, you roll the dice again, and if you roll, say, a 3, you'd have 3, so you'd have to go forward 3 spaces. If you landed on a 6, the other person would have to answer a question. If you land on a 1, you'd have another go, etc. So it's just quite a good way of sharing the work out between you both. It's a game that we've used probably since day one of the tutoring, and it's one that always goes down quite well. So rather than doing the dotty board game, I just thought I'd tweak it a bit and make it the doggy board game. So that's another activity that's in there. I've also put in some anagrams for you to solve. The idea of anagrams is, again, it helps with spelling and looking at the order in which the letters within the word go. And it's a good one to use for your child's weekly homework. So what I might often do is you have your list of spellings. And if you've got something like Scrabble letters or magnetic letters or something like that, take the letters that you need to spell the word. So for example, I'll go snow. So within the pile of letters, I'd find an S and then an O and a W. And then you find the letters, give them a shake. The other person does the same thing. You obviously don't tell the other person at this stage what the word's going to be. Give them a shake, hand them to the other person. They have to physically try and rearrange the letters to find out what the word was. And the idea behind this is the fact that you're using an actual physical act. It makes it easy. You're creating a stronger memory than just writing it down. And so therefore, when they're in the spelling test or they need to use that word within context of writing or something, it's easier to recall. And I think this is the last one. Yep, because I've already said about that one. This one is basically, again, it's one we've used quite a lot. Started in lockdown, but we've continued to use it since. So what I do is I start with an image. In this example, it's a picture of snow, because she's the inspiration behind the bundle. And what you would do is you would roll the dice. And if I roll a 5, I'd have to try and think of a sentence which included a prefix. And a prefix is a group of letters which go before the word sorry to give it a new meaning. I've given an explanation of what they all mean here. So they're both there to be downloaded. But so for example, I might put stubbornly, she was as my prefix, willing to move. So that would be my sentence with a prefix. Or because she was fantastic, but she wasn't keen on walking. So we would go out for a walk. And then when she'd had enough, she'd just sit herself down and we could sit somewhere for 45 minutes, an hour with her being unwilling to move. And being quite a big dog, she was kind of like collie Labrador size. She was too big to pick up and carry home. And with only having 3 legs, the amount of persuasion you could use was limited because people would look at you badly, or judgingly, for kind of like trying to drag a 3-legged dog along the street, even though you'd been sat there for a considerable length of time. So yeah, we would sit and watch the traffic for up to an hour at a time on one of her walks. by the end we didn't walk that far, but in the early days we watched many a car go by. But back to what I was saying, so the idea is normally if I was to ask a child to describe that picture, they'd just say, well, there's a dog sat there watching the traffic, or words to that effect. But by adding in the different techniques, you're taking the writing to a deeper level. So, for example, if I was to put the dog stubbornly sat there watching the traffic, by adding stubbornly, it's given you a sense of her sort of personality, her strength of character, if you like. Um, if I was to add, like I've said, unwilling for the preposition, I've kind of put unwilling to move. So is the preposition of no, sorry, the preposition would be a location. So in, on, near, next to, behind, etc. So I could put near the main road, or I could be on the grass in the shade, something along those lines. So again, you're just adding a bit more detail, a bit more depth to it. And then once you've got your initial 6 sentences, um, tweak them a bit so that they'll blend together to create either an opening of a short story, or a descriptive paragraph, or you may want to write the entire story, and keep adding these as you go. But this is something we've used a lot, and I use it with primary school children. I use it with students doing their GCSE, so it's quite broad. And then, like I say, feel free to interchange the picture to one of your choice. I just use that because snow is the inspiration behind this bundle. Let me stop sharing my screen. So basically the reason I've put this bundle in there is because I decided to start the membership group. I've been thinking about it for a couple of years. After lockdown, I kind of thought, well, not everyone can afford a tutor because of so many people losing their jobs and things like that. And I thought, well, there must be something else to go about it. And I was sitting on this idea, sat on the idea. And then a couple of months ago, we lost Snow. Her backstory was that originally she'd been astray in Romania, and she'd been in one particular year, they'd had a really bad winter, and she'd been sheltering under a park bench, and a block of ice had fallen off a building and fallen onto the bench where she was sheltering, and she was crushed underneath it. I don't know if I've got the images to hand. I won't show you anyway. She badly dislocated if I remember rightly, she broke her pelvis and dislocated her hip or something like that, but she was very badly injured. And as a consequence, they couldn't save one of her legs. She was fostered in Aylesbury, and it just seemed as if at the same time that we were looking for a dog, and it just seemed as if it was meant to be, she came into our life, and for 8 years she was the boss of this household, and we loved her to bits. But sadly, 6 weeks ago we lost her, and that was my inspiration then to actually get on with getting the membership group up and running, because my goal is that for every paying subscriber, a donation will go to the charity that rescued her in Romania, and so that we can help more dogs like her, because the amount of pleasure, amount of love that she did give us in this household. And if you've got cats, dogs, or anything else, you'll understand exactly where I'm coming from with that. So that's the goal of the membership, is to help children like yours, support them with their maths and their English, but additionally to try and support dogs like Snowy, who would probably otherwise have had to have been put down. So if you know anyone at all that might benefit from the membership group, please do pass them the link, and hopefully together we can make our children love maths and English, and we can build confidence in them. We can make learning fun, because that is the goal at Clara James Tutoring, is to learning should be an enjoyable experience, and hopefully through using activities like this we can achieve that. So that's why I've included the bonus dog bundle. That's who Snowy was. Snowy was a huge part of our lives and will never ever be forgotten. And I hope you enjoy the bundle. What if you decide to become a member, if you're watching this as part of the free download, within the membership group, it's at the moment it's £12.95 a month, with £2.50 of that going towards Snowy's charity, or the charity that saves Snowy. But within the membership group, there's obviously multiple different bundles. And then there's also a Facebook group where you can pop along and ask other parents questions, and I'll also be there to answer any questions which we've got. And there's also a monthly Q&A on Zoom, so that if you have any more specific questions or something that needs a bit more of a descriptive answer, we can pop on there. I can give you the answers. I can chat to you properly, and hopefully that will help as well. So please do join us. Thank you for looking at the bonus dog bundle, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care. Bye.